If you want to understand the decline of a city, look at how it handles mistakes. And the case of Caesars probably says more than just an administrative ruling. Caesars Entertainment has been fined $7.8 million for serious violations related to transaction management and regulatory compliance. A seemingly small fine compared to a billion-dollar empire, but it's a warning for something much bigger. Because the issue isn't just about the number recorded in the minutes. It lies in the fact that one of America's largest casino corporations has exposed cracks that the city can no longer hide. A lax management system, increasing legal risks, squeezed profits, ballooning debt, and declining tourist confidence. This is no longer an isolated incident. It's the latest piece in the picture of a collapsing system that is gradually being completed. When large organizations like Caesars begin to falter, it's a sign that Vegas, a city once considered unbreakable, is entering the final stage of a recessionary cycle that everyone thought would never happen. In this journey, we will peel back each layer of the $7.8 million fine to understand, is this just an operational error or the prelude to the final chapter of America's largest entertainment capital's decline? For decades, Las Vegas was seen as a model almost immune to recession. From economic crises and tourism fluctuations to market changes, this city always finds a way to rise again thanks to the allure of casinos, neon lights, and experiences found nowhere else. But recent developments show that this picture is changing. Las Vegas is no longer invincible, and the case of Caesars Entertainment is very clear proof of this. The $7.8 million fine that Caesars just agreed to is not merely a violation notice. It reflects a systemic problem that has accumulated over many years. According to the findings of the Nevada Regulatory Agency, Caesars allowed an illegal bookmaker to gamble at multiple of their properties throughout the period, from before 2017 to January 2024, a duration that is too long for an individual with a high level of risk. This person has been labeled high risk since June 2019, but key procedures such as source of funds verification, transaction monitoring, and risk assessment were not fully implemented. Data shows this person played for over 100 days, lost millions of dollars, but was still treated as a VIP guest, able to exchange money and buy chips without limits or deep checks. Numerous internal warnings were raised but not escalated properly, while suspicious transactions were reported late or completely ignored. These are systemic weaknesses, reflecting a lack of synchronization between management and internal control within a large organization. Caesars agreed to pay a $7.8 million fine and implement a series of corrective measures such as upgrading its AML system, retraining employees, and increasing independent audits. This is one of the most notable fines on the Strip in recent years, placing Caesars on the same list as corporations that have faced similar issues, such as MGM or Resorts World. But the important thing isn't the number. For a corporation like Caesars, $7.8 million isn't a financial blow. What's concerning is the reason behind the fine: persistent operational deficiencies, lax oversight, and signs that the underlying systems of a major casino are weakening. When a brand as iconic as Caesars is called out by the authorities, it's not just a matter for the company alone. It shows that Las Vegas is entering a downward cycle that the city itself can no longer hide. And the fact that the penalty appeared at the same time as revenue, customer volume, and market confidence all declined further proves that Vegas's operating system is under accumulated pressure from multiple sides. The $7.8 million fine thus became the straw that broke the camel's back, because it not only exposed the wrongdoing of a single business, but also showed that the entire structure of Las Vegas was beginning to show cracks more clearly than ever before. Entering 2025, Caesars Entertainment faces a series of clear signs of weakness, particularly in the Las Vegas market, which is considered the company's core growth engine. According to data recorded in the second quarter, revenue in Las Vegas decreased by approximately 3.7% compared to the same period last year. This number may seem small at first glance, But for a corporation operating tens of thousands of hotel rooms, this decrease is equivalent to losing tens of millions of dollars in just one quarter. The decline is not only in revenue, but is also evident in accommodation demand. Occupancy decreased by approximately 2 percentage points, equivalent to 27,000 lost room nights over 3 months. This is not random fluctuation, but reflects changes in visitor behavior, shortening stays, avoiding high-priced days, or cancelling trips altogether. Although system-wide net revenue in 2025 reached nearly $2.9 billion, actual profits were eroded, leaving Caesars still reporting losses of tens of millions of dollars. Behind that number lies a significant financial burden. A $12.3 billion debt forced the company to sell iconic assets like the World Series of Poker and the Link Promenade just to generate cash flow. But as the documents indicate, these deals did not address the core issue. Operating costs and debt obligations far exceeded short-term recovery capabilities. The pressure intensified when on September 22nd, Caesars was removed from the S&P 500. Leaving this index is not just a loss of prestige, it also triggers a chain reaction. Index funds are forced to sell Caesars shares, creating additional selling pressure and driving the stock price down further. As of the time of recording, the company's stock had lost over 50% of its value in 2 years and declined by approximately 30% in 2025 alone. A clear sign of market distrust. Meanwhile, the broader business environment in Las Vegas is also unfavorable. The number of visitors to the city decreased significantly, with a drop of approximately 11% in June alone. Room rates, food and beverage, and service costs are rising amid weakening consumer confidence in California, the largest visitor market. Another important factor acknowledged by Caesars' own leadership is the absence of international guests, particularly from Canada and Europe, leaving many rooms empty and unfilled. Finally, increasing competition from local casinos and online betting platforms is attracting a large number of players, weakening Las Vegas's inherent advantage. When tourists can gamble right in their home state or on their phones, the reason to fly to Nevada is significantly reduced. All these factors combined have created a multi-dimensional downward spiral. Revenue is declining, customers are leaving, stock prices are plummeting, assets are being sold off, and recovery prospects are limited. Caesars no longer faces a single problem. They are on a downward trajectory that is unlikely to be reversed in the short term. When looking at the decline of Caesars Entertainment, it's clear that the problems don't stem solely from market fluctuations or the slowdown in Las Vegas tourism. A significant part of this crisis stems from the very business model that Caesars and many other major corporations on the Strip have pursued in recent years. This is a model that shifts the focus from customer experience to maximizing revenue through additional fees, dynamic pricing, and reducing real value. That's causing tourist trust to gradually erode. One of the most obvious signs of this shift is the resort fee exceeding $50 per night at many Caesars properties. Notably, this fee is not only applied by high-end hotels, but also by establishments that are typically in the mid-range segment, such as Flamingo, Harrah's, and Horseshoe, which all charge a resort fee comparable to high-end hotels. The increase in fees without a corresponding improvement in service quality has made the resort fee a negative symbol, tarnishing the image of good value that was the foundation of Vegas for decades. Caesars and many other entities are also aggressively implementing the dynamic pricing model, a pricing strategy that changes based on time, demand, or events. This can cause room rates, shows, and services to increase suddenly even if the experience remains unchanged. For traditional customers, especially those accustomed to Vegas's previously stable pricing, this pricing method makes it difficult for them to predict costs and makes them feel more exploited than served. Another prime example of the fee optimization trend is ATM fees of up to $45 at some establishments on the Strip, including properties owned by Caesars. This is one of the highest ATM fees in the United States, and it has become a symbol of how Las Vegas is charging fees at every point of contact during a trip. These fees, though small individually, quickly accumulate, creating a feeling of being charged every place you go, which reduces goodwill and the overall experience for visitors. Not only did costs increase, but the quality of the core casino-related experience was also affected. Changes in the rules of the game, such as blackjack paying 6.15, reduced slot machine payouts, and cuts in comps, have made players feel a noticeable decrease in their chances of winning. This removes a key element that once made Vegas appealing: the feeling that a lucky night could change the outcome. When the feeling of being able to win factor disappears, the casino experience becomes rigid and more about collecting fees than entertainment. The broader economic context also makes the strategy of increasing fees counterproductive. Rising travel costs, soaring prices, and high interest rates are making consumers, especially middle-class and older visitors, Vegas's traditional customer base, more cautious. However, instead of easing cost pressures, Las Vegas and Caesars added more fees, widening the gap between price and value. When all these factors are combined, it can be seen that Caesars, and a part of Las Vegas, is shifting from an optimize experience model to optimize fees. This is a fundamental, subtle change, but enough to erode visitor loyalty and break the sense of value that was Vegas's strength. And it is this shift, more than any other factor, that is becoming the underlying cause of Las Vegas's current decline. The decline of Las Vegas is not only reflected in financial reports or airport statistics. This is most evident in the reactions of the very people who have been connected to this city for decades. A large number of regular visitors, those who used to come to Vegas every year, have now chosen to stop due to escalating costs and the feeling of being pressured for fees in every experience. Many people say they've saved a significant amount of money just by not going back to Las Vegas. No more resort fees, parking fees, constantly increasing service charges, or F&B prices that are much higher than before. This shows that cost is no longer a secondary factor, but has become the direct reason why tourists are leaving the city. On the other hand, some downtown establishments are rated positively simply because they don't charge a resort fee. This reflects visitors' sensitivity to the current fee structure, and also shows the value of retaining the features that were once Vegas's old identity. Recent visitors to Vegas describe the experience as not worth the cost. A $65 buffet, average quality rooms, unremarkable service, but a plethora of hidden fees. The feeling of being charged for everything is becoming one of the biggest obstacles for the class of customers who once saw Vegas as the default choice for a vacation. Many people compare it to the past when Vegas had a competitive pricing system, many cheap options, and loyalty offers. Today, prices are rising sharply, but the quality or level of discounts is not increasing accordingly. The phase difference between price and value makes the experience lose its inherent appeal. Even those who have worked in the industry admit that the culture of pampering guests, once the foundation for retaining visitors, has gradually disappeared as corporations prioritize cost-cutting and short-term profit optimization. When the human element is diminished, the experience becomes cold and lacks the connection that once made Vegas so appealing. As a result, many tourists are choosing cruises, local casinos, or resorts in other states. As alternatives become easier and less expensive, Las Vegas is gradually losing its position as the #1 destination in the minds of many people, especially among the group of customers who have generated the majority of the city's revenue for decades. The decline of the Caesars was not an isolated phenomenon. This is happening at the same time as a broader trend sweeping across all of Las Vegas. A decline in visitors, lower spending, and most importantly, a shaking of confidence, which is considered the city's most important asset. In the Las Vegas model, where experience and emotion are just as important as the quantity of services in determining revenue, customer trust is an irreplaceable foundation. When that foundation cracks, the entire structure will shake. Statistics from 2025 show that Las Vegas is entering a streak of consecutive months of decline, a rare phenomenon compared to the city's history of resilient recovery. Specifically, the number of visitors in June decreased by 11%. In July, it decreased by 12%. And by September, it continued to decline by 8.8%, reaching only about 3.09 million visitors. When placed side by side, these three figures not only reflect a slowdown, but also show the freefall of tourism demand, a long slide that Las Vegas hasn't faced since the 2008 financial crisis. As of the end of September, Las Vegas recorded approximately 29 million visitors in the first 9 months of the year, a decrease of about 8% compared to the same period last year. This is no longer seasonal fluctuation or the short-term impact of airfare prices. This is one of the deepest and longest declines in decades, signaling a structural problem, not just a cyclical one. The consequences of the decline in visitor numbers extend beyond just counting people. It directly impacts the entire tourism and service ecosystem. Occupancy rates decreased by approximately 5 percentage points, while RevPAR fell by nearly 9%. These two indicators clearly show one thing. Not only are there fewer tourists, but the average spending per tourist is also lower. The fewer customers but higher spending model, which some corporations had hoped for, is running into practical limitations. When travel costs increase, but the value of the experience doesn't increase proportionally, tourists won't make up for the revenue shortfall as operators expect. While Caesars reported good growth in the regional and digital segments, Las Vegas, which was once the main driver, became a drag. This is a remarkable turnaround. For decades, the Las Vegas segment has consistently been the highest and most stable profit margin generator for Caesars. The fact that the core market has become a burden indicates a profound shift in customer behavior and the city's competitive landscape. As Caesars weakened, the consequences extended beyond the scope of a single corporation. It created a ripple effect that spread throughout the Strip. Hotels are discounting rooms to fill vacancies. Restaurants and retail stores are having to adjust portion sizes, prices, or staffing. Transportation services are experiencing reduced demand. And the events industry is facing sparser bookings. Every business on the Strip has to react, and that reaction creates further volatility in the market. From those facts, it can be seen that the decline in customer trust is not just a vague indicator on the report. It was a shock that spread throughout Las Vegas. Once tourists no longer believe Vegas offers good value, the model that relies on their repeat visits will be broken. And when that foundation faltered, the cracks beneath the neon lights, which had long been present, began to show more than ever. The turmoil at Caesars is not just a business issue. It reflects a deeper reality. Las Vegas is entering its biggest identity crisis since the modern casino model was established. The city once held a significant advantage that no other place possessed: an exclusive monopoly on large-scale legal gambling experiences. But that advantage is crumbling faster than ever. The rise of regional casinos in many states, coupled with the rapid expansion of online betting platforms, has completely changed the market structure. Players no longer need to fly to Nevada for a casino experience like before. They can bet right in their home state, or even on their phones, weakening the core reason why millions used to flock to Vegas every year. The 2018 ruling, which allowed states to legalize sports betting, has opened the floodgates for sportsbooks nationwide. And the result is that Las Vegas lost a significant part of its reason to visit, especially for the group of customers who prefer the experience of betting over attending events or pure tourism. Meanwhile, The younger generation of travelers is shifting toward other forms of entertainment: concerts, festivals, gaming, experiential travel, or wellness travel. These trends don't center on casinos, making the traditional Vegas model less appealing over time. Changes in room prices, hidden fees, and service quality in recent years have distanced Vegas from its image as a city for everyone, which was once its greatest strength. When costs increase faster than the value provided, the experience becomes less user-friendly and gradually loses its mass appeal. To compensate, Caesars and many other corporations expect the recovery to come from conference schedules and major events in late 2025 and 2026. This strategy shows that Las Vegas is becoming increasingly reliant on the business traveler segment rather than individual tourists, a significant shift from the city's historical legacy. However, the shift in focus toward MICE is making Las Vegas increasingly resemble a conference and economic hub rather than a playground for the masses. This inadvertently creates a distance from the very group of customers who built the city's brand and reputation. When these factors combine, new competition, changing demand, rising prices, dense fees, and a shift toward non-traditional customer groups, Las Vegas faces the challenge of redefining its identity. The city is forced to answer an important question: whether the traditional casino model can still hold its central role, or if it's time for Las Vegas to rebuild its identity for a completely new era. The $7.8 million fine was not the source of Caesars' woes. It's just the most visible point in a years-long decline, stemming from strategic decisions and economic conditions that the corporation couldn't control. The over $12.3 billion debt that Caesars is carrying is the result of years of expansion, restructuring, and operating in a high-interest rate environment. This isn't a temporary incident, but rather financial pressure that has accumulated over many stages. The forced sale of iconic assets, such as the World Series of Poker and the Link Promenade pedestrian mall, shows that the corporation doesn't have much room left to turn things around. Asset sales only provide a temporary solution, insufficient to address the long-term issues of operating costs and debt structure. The recent fluctuations, declining Las Vegas revenue, reduced visitor numbers, a sharp drop in stock price, being removed from the S&P 500 and being fined, are not isolated events. When placed side by side, they create a continuous deceleration trajectory. That's a sign that the system is no longer running as stably as before. The Las Vegas setting further clarifies the issue. Tourist numbers to the city have declined for months, travel costs have risen sharply, consumer behavior has changed, and the rise of new forms of entertainment have blurred Vegas's traditional advantages. These factors undermine the very foundation that corporations like Caesars have relied on for decades. Despite this, Caesars still maintained growth in its digital and regional segments, proving that the corporation has not completely lost its prospects. But the fact that Las Vegas, once the flagship, has become a burden within its own ecosystem shows a major shift in the business model. The current decline is therefore not limited to financial statements. It reflects the aging of a model that once dominated American entertainment culture for nearly a century. As costs rise and customer preferences change, experiences become less unique, and the traditional casino model no longer holds an irreplaceable position. In this context, the $7.8 million fine serves only as the clearest sign, a reminder that what is faltering actually began long ago, in every small decision that accumulated into significant change. And that could be the starting point for a reshaping cycle that Las Vegas is forced to face. Las Vegas was once considered an immortal city, a place where all crises had to stop in the face of neon lights and sleepless playgrounds. But what's happening with Caesars Entertainment paints a different picture. The decline didn't start with a sudden crash, but with a series of small changes that accumulated into a larger trend. From escalating costs and declining experiences to eroded visitor confidence, it's all coming together to send a clear message. Las Vegas is facing its own limitations. And the most important thing is, $7.8 million is not the reason Las Vegas is in decline. It's just the most visible sign, a reminder that fundamental problems have been quietly brewing for a very long time. Can Las Vegas adapt in time to retain the identity that once made it legendary? Or is this just the opening chapter of a restructuring cycle that the entire casino industry is forced to undergo? Given that tourist confidence has been shaken, how important is it to restore that confidence, and is it still as feasible as before? If you find these analyses helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and share the video so more people can understand what's happening in Las Vegas, a city entering its most significant transformation in decades. You can also leave a comment. Do you still consider Las Vegas a worthwhile destination? What makes you stay or leave? The content in this video is based on public data, financial reports, information from regulatory agencies, and reputable analytical sources. This video is not intended to provide investment, financial, or legal advice. All assessments are analytical and interpretive, based on information available at the time of their creation. Viewers should independently assess and consult additional independent sources before making any investment or financial decisions.